Okay, guys, good day and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino beer review. So things happened that ended the last video early. Luckily, we hadn't opened the can yet, but we had to go. we had to go. So this is a beer from Swift Current, Saskatchewan. It's from Black Bridge Brewing. It's their cold pressed cream ale, and it is 4.7% alcohol by volume. So there is a message back here. We will try and read it because it is different than the one on Untapped, but we'll read Untapped's first. I know one person that has tapped this in. He's given it a 4.25 out of 5. I have 565 people that have given it ratings. I have. No, there are 565 people that have given it ratings. And its overall is 3.76 out of 5. Coffee beans, like hops, create different flavors and aromas, and it is true, especially the different coffee beans are different, and also the different types of roast. So the amount of times you've spent roasting from green all the way to a deep roast, a dark roast, all impart different flavors. Much like hops, and when you throw the hops into into the wort, into the boil, into the whether you're wet hopping, dry hopping. Everything you do changes the flavor. With that in mind, our brewer cut way back on the hops in this smooth cream ale and let the roasty bitterness of Costa Rican beans from White Mud Roasters in East End round out the flavor. The result is a clean, unassuming blonde brew with serious coffee appeal. That sound like a fair trade? And the one person I know that's had this is Ken. He purchased it at the Canada Craft Club, which is a group out of Alberta. And he gave it a 4.25, so it was probably in a case. It was probably a case thing for him. And then Holly G had it at the Great Canadian Beer Festival, but did not give it a rating. And those were October of 2022 and September of 2022, respectively. Let's see if I can try and make out what the can actually has on it. Because the color isn't too bad for me. In this smooth cream ale, the addition of locally roasted coffee beans to the cold side round out the flavor, resulting in a clean, unassuming blonde beer with serious coffee appeal. Ingredients: water, malted barley, hops, yeast, and coffee. Unpasteurized, please keep cold. And again, for those of you that didn't get to see the can well enough, there you are. Okay, shall we open her? Okay, so crystal clear blonde color. Scent from the can. Nothing but coffee beans. Like, it's like it's a mix of a very light roast, almost to the green, and a medium roast coffee coming off of that. So there's a little bit of coffee bitterness. There's a little bit of like a sweet coffee note. It smells really nice. Out of the glass, and I gotta be very careful because this beer filled the glass right to the gold. Just coffee again. Slanche. Prost. Cheers. That's actually really good. I tried it last night. This one I didn't go into blind, and I did try it last night on our live stream, and I talked about just about it being a very nice coffee beer. And I think, you know, you get stouts and stuff, and you think, hey, those are great for coffee, and I mean they're not bad for something coffeed, right? But then you look at a beer like a blonde or a lager or a cream ale, and because their flavors don't lend to tasting like coffee to begin with, it really accentuates the coffee flavor. Albeit, it can make it so that the coffee is overpowering. If you do not like coffee, this is not the beer for you, because it is an overpowering coffee flavor. The coffee is there from the beginning to the end, and that is 100% okay. I do not know what's the best way to put this one. I do not know if somebody who does not like coffee could ever get behind this beer. And that's an intriguing prospect to think about. If you do not like coffee, could you get behind this and go, that's a really good beer? I don't know. I don't know if you could. I really like it, but I do like coffee. And when I drink my coffee black. I'd rather taste the coffee. You know, they tell you taste the rainbow with Skittles. I'd like to taste the burnt. And I don't like to add sugar to my coffee. The only time sugar goes in my coffees is when I get an iced coffee, because it's just easier. People look at you fucking crazy when you're like, can I get a black iced coffee? And they're like, what? Black iced coffee? What are you talking about? I'd like a coffee with ice and nothing else. Why? Well, I don't like my coffee hot. I'm weird. I don't like my beer cold, and I don't like my coffee hot. What the fuck is wrong with me, right? Cold pressed coffee, another thing that I love. Cold pressed coffee takes a lot of the bitterness out and all that. Which is probably why this is so coffee flavored, but not necessarily bitter. Like, you know you're drinking coffee, but it doesn't have the bitterness that coffee comes off with. Like, even a dark roasted coffee used as a cold press or a cold brewed will not come off with as much bitterness as your average steeped coffee, shall we say, percolated coffee. And excuse me, there isn't much of the beer on here. As the coffee sensation fades away, your mouth is left with a little bit of a bready biscuitiness. So there's a tiny bit of a coffee sensation in there, but it's nothing really that you would write home about, shall we say. It is a solid brew, it is, but it's not all that different, shall we say, from, say, like Nickelbrook's Coffee Blonde that they put out. What the hell was that one called? Oh, I can't even remember now. But it was really good. It was really good, but it's been so many years that I can't remember it. This looks great. It tastes great. It's odd to me that it comes out golden, because if you've ever made cold brew coffee in your or done a French press as cold pressed or anything like that, if you've done any cold coffee, You know it does change. Like, because I have a cold brew coffee cup that I set up the night before. You take your little filter, you put some coffee in it, you put it in water, you shake it up once or twice, like upside down, right side up, upside down, right side up. You put it in your fridge, you come back 10 hours later, and you have proper black coffee. It's just cold pressed. Well, cold brewed. Almost like a percolator, but there's no hot water to just force it through the filter, right? It just kind of osmosis into the water. And that really changes the color. So when you pick these up, because every blonde I've had that has had coffee has looked like this. Every cream ale that I've had that has had coffee has looked like this. And it's just odd to me that it still comes out this way. Because I've seen them do cold brewed coffee in the beer, and they do it the same type of way. They take like cheesecloth, drop the well, it's not necessarily cheesecloth, but that type of thing. They drop it in the keg and they just leave it there and they walk away and they come back and they pull it out and then they have their beer. Yet it still comes out this color. Is it because it's not really moving? Is that the thing? Because you just drop it in and you close it up and you walk away? Is that why? Is it like if I was to make my cold brewed coffee tonight, if I was to go make it tonight and I just put it in the water, put it in the fridge and walk away, would I come back to coffee flavored water with no really color leaching? I should test that out. Because I never have. I've never done that test. Now I'm curious. And if you only get a few shades, like a few SRM numbers higher, then yeah, I guess it would still come out kind of this color when you think about the batch size. And is that the thing? Does it take a lot less coffee to impart the coffee flavor than it does coffee to make the coffee color? Because that is also a possibility that I'm just not thinking of at the moment. Because I've never tried to make a 400 liter or 4,000 liter or 40,000 liter batch of cold brewed coffee. So is it just that there's not enough to change the color, but there's enough to impart the flavor? It is one of those things that I've only ever done a coffee beer in a small batch. It was your average like 30 liter batch, and it was a stout anyway, so the color was already dark. So I don't know. I've never done this myself. Yeah, out of 10 on this, I'll give it an 8.5. Cheers, guys. Have a good day. Bye.